Voting systems. The Electoral College is just the one that you guys are going to hear about if you watch the news at all. You'll hear a lot of people talk about the path to 270, or that so-and-so has a lot of ways to get to 270. That 270 that they're talking about is half of 538 plus 1, and that's where that number comes from. Because they have to have a majority of the Electoral College. They won't have a majority of the popular vote, I can almost guarantee it, but they need to have a majority of the Electoral College in order to become president. And the Electoral College is kind of a holdover from states' rights. Anyway, okay. So, a weighted voting system is a system where all voters. Robbie, are you taking notes?
Yeah, I do.
Are not equal.
Can I take notes on my phone?
No.
What?
Because actually writing it down is helpful in how many votes they control.
What's the difference between writing and typing?
Actually writing it down gives you mechanical memory, which is helpful.
Is that what they call it?
No. Okay, a weighted voting system is a system where all voters are not equal in how many votes they control. Okay. The voters in this system are called players. Believe it or not. So the states, if we were like, all of the math behind this would call each of those states players. Quota is the number of votes necessary for an action to happen. So in this case, we're talking about the action of creating a new president. What's the quota for creating a new president? How many votes are needed, or how many electoral votes are needed to create a new president? 270. Right? Okay. So, stop that. So the way that you would write this, or the notation for it, is it would be this kind of square looking bracket, 270, followed by a colon, and then you would put the weight of each person's vote. So like California was the one who had the most power in that, right? Mm-hmm. California had 55 votes. The next one with the most power was Texas, which had 38 votes. After that it's New York with 29 votes. And I'm just going to put an ellipsis here because I'm not going to list all 50 states. And then square brackets to end it. So the amount that's needed to fill quota, colon, and then player 1, player 2, player 3, on out until the end. So I could list all 50 states this way in order of however many votes they control. California controls 55 electoral votes, Texas controls 38, New York controls 29, and on down like that. Kind of, sort of? No? Not even close?
I have no idea. I was like trying to keep up with my radio.
Okay.
The thing I know you're talking about, that's scary.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Mason, shush. All right. So let's take a look at a different voting system then. Let's say that instead of having 270 that are required to make a president, Mason, shush.
Are you kidding me?
You were talking.
Everybody,
I was laughing.
stop arguing.
Seriously. Let's say that instead of having 270 that's required to get something passed or to get somebody elected, let's say we have 47 that's required.
Everybody always hates me.
And we have 12. Shush. 15. 15. 13. 10. I don't even know if that'll work out right because I'm making this up off the top of my head. Yeah, it will. Okay. So the quota here is the number that's right there. So you'd need to have 47 votes for something to work out. This person here, player 1, controls 12 votes. Player 2 controls 15. Player 3 controls 15 votes. player 4 controls 13 votes, and player 5 controls 10 votes. So let's first ask, what is quota? Robbie, what is the quota? Okay, quota is the number of votes necessary for an action to happen, which is, okay, I'm asking Robbie.
Oh, okay, yeah. Alright, yeah, 47.
Okay, so quota's 47. Mason, how many players?
Can't see. 5.
Okay. Isaac, how many votes does player 1 control?
12.
Okay. Steven, how many votes does player 2 control? Go ahead and say it anyway.
I did.
I know, but again, without, like, not when I was talking. Thank you. Harley, I'm going to mix you up and ask how many votes does player 5 control?
10.
Great. All right, so now if we're back to talking about the U.S. Electoral College, Robbie, what's quota?
270.
Okay. In the U.S. Electoral College, Mason, how many votes does player 1 control?
5.
And Isaac, how many votes does player 2 control?
38.
Perfect.
So what is this exactly now?
This is just explaining how you note this stuff. Okay. All right. Rather than having to write out all these stuff, rather than having to write out sentences and stuff to describe it, mathematicians came up with this stuff. Okay. So next, there's 2 more things we're going to talk about today: dictators and dummies. So a dictator
No, you use everybody.
is someone.
I should have the teammates.
Shush.
Everybody?
Okay, shush. Who can make an action happen.
I gotta talk about something later, Mason.
Shush. On their own. With no other players. Okay, write this down, guys. Mason. So a dictator is somebody who can make an action happen on their own with no other players. So in the example of the Electoral College, can any one state meet 270 by themselves with no other states?
No.
No. So that means that none of our states are dictators in our electoral system. No state can decide by themselves who's going to be president. If there were a state that had 270 electoral votes and no other states had that many, do you think the candidates would even bother to campaign anywhere else? I mean, imagine if California had 270 electoral votes and everybody else had like 1. Would Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton campaign anywhere else?
Probably not.
No, right? Because like that one state would control everything in America. So imagine if Texas had all of the electoral votes.
And
Or
a
if,
lot more people would be moving there so that their vote would even more. No.
or if Montana had all of the electoral votes.
That's too many people here.
I agree. A dummy
Too many, too many. Everybody go out.
is someone
Okay, Consuela. Everybody needs to go. I have to see it.
whose
More
votes
than 30 players. I need more players, 9 votes. For 9 votes.
cannot make an action.
Yeah, she says 11
I
players.
need to clean it. I need more co-op.
Okay, shush.
Nice.
Pass or fail.
No, 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 no. It's gonna be so.
Okay, shush. So, a dummy is someone whose vote cannot make an action, either pass or fail. So, let's talk about what this means, and let's look at a couple different voting systems and see if there are any dictators or any dummies. So first, I know, you have to do some work. Let's say we've got a voting system here that's 13, 6, 4, 2. So in this voting system, first of all, what's quota here, Brett? We'll look at it.
Can I answer that?
Okay.
13.
Okay. How many votes does player 1 control, Gus? 13. Player 1 controls 13 votes. How many votes does player 2 control, Gus?
6.
Player 3?
4.
Player 4.
2.
Great. Now, Gus,
Yes.
can any of those players make actions happen without help from anybody else?
Player 1.
Great. So does that make player 1 a dictator or a dummy?
15.
Awesome. So player 1's a dictator.
Yeah.
All right. Now,
The rest are dummies?
yeah, like player 2, 3, and 4, their vote doesn't matter at all. Like they can vote against stuff all they want to, because 6 plus 4 plus 2 does not make quota. So even if they vote together as a block against something, they can't make it not happen. So player 1 gets whatever they want all the time, like a spoiled child.
I wouldn't.
So player 2, 3, and 4
Wouldn't, though.
don't get what they want. All right, let's look at another one here. Let's do 17, 9, 6, 4, 2. All right, Tierra. In this voting system, what's quota? Great. Player 1 controls how many votes? Anybody?
9.
Player 2?
6.
Player 3?
4.
And player 4?
2.
Okay. Is there anybody in this voting system that's a dictator?
No.
No. We're all dummies.
They're not all dummies because like these three together could make 17.
38. Well, 9 and 6 want to make 16.
Yeah, but these 3 together could make 17.
It's like 16.
These 2 only make 15, but these 3 together could make 17. But they don't need this guy. So this guy's a dummy. These 3 aren't.
Okay, that makes sense.
But you could use the 2 in the quota.
This seems pretty easy unless you try to throw in like 30 numbers in there.
I'm not.
Okay, that's when I don't use that.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you like the entire United States of America.
Okay, good.
I'm not going to give you that electoral math. Like that's college level stuff.
Thank you.
Like CNN has like college level mathematicians who are doing that right now. Who are talking about like, because I mean, yeah,